Hey guys, this is Nate from Nate Bakes Broadway, and in honor of 1 year since Broadway shut down, we have a very special video. I'm joined by Broadway veteran Kathryn Allison. Kathryn has been in many Broadway shows, including as the fortune teller in Aladdin for over 2 years. She was then briefly a part of the Wicked ensemble before she joined the Broadway cast of Company. She was actually in previews for Company as the Broadway shutdown was announced. I am so glad she could join me today, as we will be baking a simple yet delicious chocolate chip cookie recipe. Let's get started. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Kathryn. It's such an honor that you would come join me and bake with me today. We're just gonna be doing a pretty simple cookie recipe that's delicious, I promise. Okay, so our first step is gonna be to take our butter and then just melt it. So we're just gonna put it in the microwave and melt it till it's liquid. And then once we're done unwrapping it and melting it, we're gonna take both our flours and all our dry ingredients, and we're gonna incorporate that together, which is just so we have it incorporated for when we do the other stuff. And then, so while it's melting, we'll take both our flours, and I think it's just, both our flours, and then from there, we will incorporate that with all of the other dry ingredients, which is actually just the cornstarch, salt, and baking soda, which should all be together for you. And then I tend to add a little bit of extra salt because salt.
Why not?
Of course, exactly. And then we're just gonna take these ingredients and we're just gonna mix them up. They don't need to be perfect because we're gonna incorporate it again later. So we're gonna pour our butter into the other bowl that we have, this bigger bowl. Yes. And then into the butter, we're gonna incorporate all the sugar. So our brown sugar and our regular sugar. Once we have all the sugar in the bowl, since the butter's melted, it should be a little easier, but we gotta put a little elbow grease in, and we gotta really get it combined. So as we're mixing, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what your first Broadway role was, and how did you get cast? How did you get that ultimate first role?
Yeah, so the first role I was cast in was the fortune teller slash attendant. Oop, that's my oven saying it's time. The fortune teller slash attendant in Aladdin. Yeah, and I was a replacement, so it was very fast. It kind of like it's the theme of my Broadway moment. So essentially what happened was, because I was a replacement, they were looking someone to like come in and like 3 weeks. It's really fast. So they held an audition. I think I had 3 auditions. The first one was the initial, and I just had to do material. I think I sang a song of my own, and the second audition was a movement call, which I was so scared about. Then the third one was the material again for the entire creative team and everybody. They filmed it because not everybody could be there.
No pressure, I guess.
Not at all. It was like people in the room. It was wild. Like, it was such a blur because there were people that I met, later when I booked it, that I was like, they were like, "Hey, nice to see you," and I was like,
you were like, oh, I met you. Oh, okay, got it.
So yeah, it was really fast, and my agents called me. I was doing a reading with a friend at the time, and I called them back, and they were like, "You booked Aladdin." I was like, "Shut up! I can't believe it."
Must have been crazy. My high school show, I'm excited when I get cast, so that must have been thrilling.
Yeah, it was, and it was in the middle of a snowstorm, so I couldn't get home to my parents right away. And I remember calling them on the phone when I was outside. It was like snowing. It was very angelic, and I told them, and I literally had to hold the phone away this far because they were just screaming.
Oh my god! Yeah, that sounds just amazing. It sounds so cool. I can tell that it looks like it's pretty combined. So actually, our next step is going to be to add both eggs, both
Right.
2 of our eggs. So a trick that I learned for cracking eggs is you don't want to crack it on the bowl, like against the rim, because if you do, you can get shells into the egg. So we take it on a flat surface, we just bang it and just crack it. You see a little shell, you fish it out. It happens.
Yeah, it's like, what can you do?
Exactly. That's how I feel. And then the problem with the eggs is when you mix them in, it kind of separates a little, but it's okay. Again, we just gotta mix until it's good. So It's fun. Exactly. So I know were involved in company, especially right before the pandemic. So how did you get that after Aladdin and now you're in company? That's pretty crazy. What
I know.
happened?
Wild. So between Aladdin and Company, I did Wicked. So
Mhm.
I did Aladdin for about 3.5, 4 years.
Wow.
And yeah, a long time and so much fun. I learned so much from everybody in that show. And Wicked came around and they were looking for a replacement as well to play Madame Morrible, to be a Madame Morrible understudy. And I was so fortunate to book that and join that company. And I loved doing that show every night. And it was around that time that company had announced that they were coming to Broadway and they were looking for people. And I honestly really, I was like, I loved the show. I did the show in college. I played Marta, but I just really didn't think that much about it because I had just joined Wicked. So I was like, you know, move so quickly. Um, but I got an audition for it through my agents to understudy uh, three of the ladies in the show.
Mhm.
And I went in and kind of just was like, did my thing. I did a couple auditions. I think I did 3 again. Everything is like in a series of 3 for me.
Yeah, whatever works, you know?
I know, right? Yeah. So the first one was just kind of the initial to kind of get to know everyone and do the material. And then the second one was a dance call again, a movement call. And then the third one was I did the material again. And it was filmed because the London team wasn't here yet. So
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
yeah, yeah. So that was like all in December. And then the day before Christmas, I found out that I booked the show and I was like,
Must have been a fun Christmas.
it was a
Great Christmas present.
great Christmas present. My first Sondheim show on Broadway, I was so excited. So excited.
Yeah, I saw it when it was in London, and it was well. What's funny for me is I had never seen the show before, so I know they changed it with the gender roles, and my parents were like, oh, they changed it, right? And I was like, no, I had no idea. Like I just thought that was the show. It made a lot of sense to me, but
Yeah.
it was really exciting, and it was just the energy was really really cool when we were there, and I don't know. I'm excited to see it when it comes back here. And to that point, I was just say like, what was the experience like preparing for company and then kind of like receiving the news that like we were going into the shutdown? And I guess nobody knew for how long. Turns out it's been a year.
Yes.
But
It was pretty cool. I mean, like my understudy companions, we came in a little later once like kind of the show was a little bit more set. And we started learning the show. So I am understudying uh, Jenny, Sarah, and Susan, who is
yeah.
Shidra, Nikki, and Jennifer, all brilliant ladies, actresses. I was just so excited to be under their, be there to support them in that way. And it was great. I mean, Marianne is a brilliant director and she has such a clear vision. So it was great to be in the room with her and kind of see how she sees the show and how she works with everybody and kind of making the part truly their own. Steven stopped by and that was really wild.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And he saw our last run through of the entire thing and he was just so verklempt. And just, it was nice to see him laughing and singing along. And I was like, okay, I think we've done him proud. So
that sounds pretty amazing to like be able to do that, especially. Mm-hmm. I think as we're doing this, we can actually start incorporating a little bit of the flour at a time. Not too much. We just want to kind of like a fourth or a fifth at a time, okay. And then again mix. We want to be careful because we don't want to make too much of a mess. We want to do what we can, but just kind of get it in there and we'll keep
doing it, pushing it around.
I know, right?
But yeah, so that was really exciting, and so we were moving into the theater and starting costume fittings for our other characters, and we shut down like a week and a half before we opened, so we were just so close, and people were loving it during previews. I mean, like really going wild. I mean, obviously, Katrina Lenk is a star, and Patti LuPone was just like turning the house down every night.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And so it was just a really exciting time. And kind of during that, we were kind of hearing signs of this virus, and we have a really lovely producing team who kind of throughout the process was like kind of like, hey, like, you know, let us know, these are the implications that we're putting in to make you all feel safer, but if there's any other suggestions you have, let us know, we'll implement them. Because there was a time where they were like, okay, we're not going to do stage dooring anymore, and that was kind of like a cross Broadway thing to kind of keep the, you know, passing aerosols and not shaking hands and no backstage tours and things like that. So so then I believe, I was like trying to remember this with a friend the other day, I believe a phone call was made to the entire company, and I believe I was in the dressing room like getting ready to start understudy rehearsal, and we got the call that, you know, we're going to shut down, it'll be like 2 to 4 weeks, but then we'll be back, so, you know, make sure you grab your scripts and everything, you know, seal everything tight in the costumes and everything, and like we'll be back. And of course 2 to 4 weeks turns into a whole year.
You mean, oh, those 2 weeks? Yeah.
2 weeks, we'll be fine, we'll be back, it's cool.
Oh God. Well, I feel like a follow-up to that is like, how has the shutdown affected you as an actor over the past year, especially like as you were preparing for company, and then you were obviously unsure how long it would last. Well, obviously here we are now, but you didn't know that. So it's like, how have you adapted or just kind of like even kept busy during the pandemic?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm extremely lucky. I'm in a very privileged position, you know, like being on Broadway, you're definitely in like the 1% of people that are doing like the peak work, you know? So I was in a very good position, and a lot of my friends weren't, which was, you know, that's hard, and a lot of people around the city weren't. So I kind of dug into some volunteering work to try and help where I could. And there was also just so many things that, because of my schedule, or because people lived really far away, like I just couldn't collaborate with. So there were so many friends that lived in California that I was like, oh my God, like let's work on some music together.
Yeah.
Or I really wanted to like start recording on my own, because I came out with an album in 2019. And so I was like, okay, I want to get back into like trying to record for myself and mixing and mastering. And so I
for sure. It's like
that.
Yeah, definitely a pro of the pandemic is at least that like we've learned to be a little more virtual and flexible, and like how you can talk to people and interact and even like collaborate with people. So I think that's been really exciting. Like we do family Zoom calls. Like we didn't do that before. Like we saw each other, but like more than we did now, of course. But
yes, of course.
Like I feel very updated in my family lives. Maybe a little too much, but like, you know, I feel like that's been definitely a pro of kind of like everybody trying to figure it out together in kind of this like virtual setting. And I feel like that's at least been a pro to take from this into the future.
Right. Yes. I'm like, am I doing this right? I hope I'm doing this right, Nate.
Oh, I see. It looks great. Like there's no wrong way to do it. As long as the flour is, you know, like there's no wrong way to do it. I find the best way is to just eat as you go along, personally.
So,
because, let's be honest, the cookie dough is the best part.
I mean, it is. It is. You're absolutely right about that.
So as you finish up the flour, we can think about adding some of the walnuts or chocolate chips. And if you wanted to, if you were making this, you can add whatever you want. I love a good Reese's peanut butter cup. I've been known to add a good Reese's peanut butter cup to a cookie, because how could you not love peanut butter and chocolate in a cookie, in my opinion?
Such a good combo.
Well, like, how can you go wrong? It's a classic.
Yes.
But I think as we're doing this, I have, like, what's something about performing on Broadway that, like, not a lot of people know? That, like, it's kind of kept secret.
Kept secret. I mean, I can think of, like, some of the ones that, like, when I first joined, I was really surprised by. But, like, people eat in costume. Like, oh. That's not, you know, of course they're wearing a robe or whatever to, you know, make sure that they don't get anything on it. But like snacks is a major thing. At least on Aladdin it was. Like,
Excuse me, snacks are the most important aspect of any day.
yes.
So I
There were
feel
people who were really amazing cooks. So they would like, make full meals and kind of like leave them uh like Aladdin is built on like there's multiple floors and so there's an elevator, which is a very rare thing in Broadway houses. And so it'd be on the fourth floor and just anything, cakes. We had a lot of people from a lot of different cultures, so like there'd be Filipino food and
this sounds like a
Mexican
show
food.
I want to be in. I
Yeah,
love food. Excuse me. That
it was
sounds great.
it was absolutely awesome. Okay, I think I'm gonna start adding in my
Good.
chocolate chip.
Chocolate chips. The most important part of the cookie.
Yes. Um, and then maybe a little bit of these walnut situations.
Walnuts. I don't actually really like walnuts, but in a cookie, I feel like they just add a good crunch. You know what I mean?
I love a good crunch. That is definitely something about me that I love. Even in my ice creams, like I love like a nice,
Oh,
you know?
oh right, butter pecan, like good nut and ice cream. It's just
Yeah,
it adds a little something that like you just don't get with just like vanilla ice cream. You know?
exactly.
I agree on that one. My favorite part about this cookie dough is it's so thick and you just make a ginormous cookie and then you sit it and eat it and just don't feel bad about it. You know, that's my favorite part about the cookie. It's just like look at it. It's just like it's quite something.
I'm like, can the people at home see? It's massive.
Can you see this? This mound dough.
Yeah.
Oh god. Okay, well I think another question is like, what has been your favorite role to play on Broadway, off Broadway, just ever?
Gosh, favorite role. That's really hard because I like them all equally, um, so much. And of course, like I didn't really get to perform my understudy roles yet, but it was really fun to rehearse with our little crew because everyone is so talented. I was like, oh, I can't wait to like get on stage with you and like really do it. I don't know, like I really loved doing Wicked. It was really fun. I played Shen Shen, which was really cool. She's kind of like Glinda's best friend, and
It's one of my favorite shows ever. I hadn't seen it for like a really long time. And for our birthday, for me and my sister's birthday, we usually do something touristy, which has devolved into basically just going to a Broadway show because we run out of things to do in New York City. So eventually we got to look at it. My dad didn't want to go because he's just like, I've been before, and I was like, but I haven't been before. It robbed me of the experience.
yeah,
I think, well, I feel robbed that I was born too late to see it with Adina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth. But like, it's fine. It's fine. I get it.
it's okay. I didn't. I mean, the first time I saw it, I didn't see it with them either, and
But like, everybody in it is amazing. So it's like everybody in it is so good, and it was just it was amazing to see. Because of course I've listened to the soundtrack, but it's just not the same, you know.
same when it's in person. And let me tell you, like coming because I played Shen Shen, basically where I come in from the show, I get to see the bubble come down like at eye level. So I get to see like Linda like looks
Okay, well,
my eyes.
which is rude. I didn't get like that. Sounds amazing.
I mean, it was incredible. I was like, this is a dream right now.
You're like, I am up close and personal with the bubble right now.
Yes. Yeah. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
As we're finishing up here, I can see you're finishing up mixing it. We've gotten a good mix in with all the mix-ins, and I think the next step is just to put it in your hands, just kind of make it into a ball. You can go any size you want. I specifically with this cookie dough, I like to go. I think bigger is better. A little bit bigger is just. I just feel like this cookie lends itself to that, and just kind of doesn't need to be perfect because what cookie is perfect? So, and I think as we're creating I think another question I have is like, looking to the future as Broadway plans to reopen timidly as people are being vaccinated, I think, what are you looking forward to coming back to most, like whether it's company or kind of like looking past that just as the Broadway world in general? I think like, what are you looking forward to most?
Well, I'm definitely excited for the first night. I feel like it's going to be like a rock concert. I think people are just going to be so excited to be in a collective space to experience theater together as it should be. and I think that people will go wild, and I think it'll be an extremely emotional moment that we will never forget. What else? I don't know. Like, there's a lot of issues that have been brought up during this time, and I really hope that companies have really looked internally in the way that they treat the people and everyone. And so my hope is that's another part that I'm looking forward to, that the conversations have been had and we're implementing ways to like make everyone feel safe and feel heard in the community. And I think that's really important to foster new growth and shows and new opportunities. So I'm really excited for that. And I think beyond, like, I just miss like jamming and hanging out with my friends and creating work. I feel like one of the things that I really took away from my time at Aladdin is that everyone was so motivated to keep expanding and growing as artists. And that's always something that I want to bring with me. And I'm just excited to do that along with my friends again and just
talk about it. I just want to be able to hang out with people and not have to worry. I'm trying to, like, fully collaborate with, like, even if it's just at school. Like, school's fun, but like it's just that, like, I need to see people. I'm done with sitting at home and sitting on the computer.
I mean, I can't imagine what y'all are going through. I mean, that's very difficult doing school from at home. That would have been really difficult for me. So I really commend everybody for figuring that out and doing the best that they can,
I agree. I think it can sometimes be a little difficult to focus, but I think in some ways it's actually nice because it kind of keeps me like I have a goal that I need to achieve this week, and like I feel like it keeps me scheduled to a certain point. Like this summer was kind of like I had nothing to do, and I was like, wow, this day is so structured. I know exactly what I'm doing today. So I think it's been exciting to get back to that, but I think it's more exciting like looking forward to next year and kind of seeing the possibilities to return to some sense of normalcy. So I think that's been exciting, especially just because I'm ready to see people and hang out. But I think that's exciting.
Yeah.
And then I think as we're finishing up, I have another question in kind of the sense of like, what do you think of kind of like the way people have developed this idea of like virtual theater, and kind of like what do you think of like are the biggest pros of obviously like this ability to connect virtually, but also some of the cons of like, as you were saying, like being in the same space together is not quite the same when it's virtual.
I mean, I think the pro is that it's so much more accessible to every person. Whether Broadway is expensive. It's an expensive medium, and it's really a privilege to go see a Broadway show and be able to see it, even if it doesn't come to your hometown. You're not able to see a tour. So to be able to like have it in your home and to see your favorite Broadway star, sing a song, do a cabaret, I think has been really amazing. And some of the productions that I've wanted to see and I didn't get a chance to see, like National Theater Live, they did a whole segment at the beginning of quarantine where they released productions, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing theater that I would have never gotten to see. So that's, been really exciting too, to celebrate the work that we've done, and kind of hoping that people understand like what an asset we are to society.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think accessibility is like something Broadway struggles with, just in terms of it has its own limits and like in that sense. So I think it's been exciting to see kind of like different people be introduced to it that like might not be able to, like in general, and kind of like, and even myself, like, okay, we don't go to theater that often, we go maybe once or twice a year, and I think it's been to be able to like expand that and like kind of be more involved in that. I think that's been really exciting, even though we're stuck at home. It's been something to look forward to while stuck at home.
Absolutely.
And I think when we're ready, I think we should throw these in the oven. They only go in for about like 10-12 minutes because we like the outside and the inside is quite gooey. So I think we should do that. And I think as we're waiting a little, I have a question, just kind of like, I know you were involved with like the Actors Fund and their kind of like Nightmare Before Christmas benefit. And I know that they do such great things, and I kind of work with them through this, and I think it's been really great. Like, it's been a really great way to introduce myself to them and kind of what they do. And so I was wondering if you could speak a little to like kind of doing the benefit with them, kind of like what you've learned like in what they do and like why that's so important. Because like I feel like it's been one of the most amazing parts of doing this for me. It's been kind of learning about like their mission and what they do, especially now when I
Yeah.
think it's so much more important. So I was wondering if you speak a little to that.
Yeah, I mean, when I was approached, because James and I did Aladdin together, and he would kind of take me under his wing, and we would do. He had concerts, and I would sing backup for him with another friend of mine, Trent Saunders. And so when they called me to do this, I was like, absolutely. And for the Actors Fund, absolutely, let's do it. It was so fun, and the Actors Fund has been so monumental for so many people in the entertainment industry in general, because it's not just for actors. I feel like some people are like, it's just for actors. It's not. It's for everyone.
Exactly.
You know, from back of house to the front, to the front of house, and beyond that.
Yeah, it's even beyond theater too, which is so amazing. It's like so many different industries they support, which is amazing.
Exactly. And I think they've been a real lifeline for so many. Maybe they didn't have enough weeks to get to health insurance. They're able to help them with that. They were giving away grants to people so they can make their rent and pay their bills on time, which is so important in this time. And so I was just grateful to be a part of it, and that the fact that the benefit was also in combination with a organization that helped his wife Dawn when she had cancer. It's specific cancer that she had. I'm blanking on the name at the moment. So it felt like a really communal coming together to do some good with a show that everybody really loves. So it was fun. It was a fun.
I can imagine it. I watched it and I was like, it was fun to watch. So I can imagine that it was fun to do. And so I think for our cookie, I like to do just like a pinch of salt. I just like just a little bit, and then I do like I have leftover nuts because, well, I don't know. I played it by ear and was like, okay, this might be too many. So I have a couple leftover, little extra chocolate chips. Never hurt anybody. And then it requires a spoon. I'm not gonna lie to you. It definitely requires a spoon.
Okay.
Yeah, no. So we have a cookie with whatever toppings I don't know, whatever you want, and then I take it in while I see it, and then we eat.
Great.
So I think as we're eating, I just have one last question, and kind of like, what would you say to someone who's like really loves acting and really their goal is to be on Broadway or on TV, or like what would you tell them? What would be your biggest piece of advice?
First of all, this is really good. It's also really hot, but it's really good.
It is hot.
So,
you're good. I feel you.
Right about the gooiness. Okay. 30 seconds later. Okay. So, what I would tell someone is that if you really, it is like you just so, I feel like cliche that you go to bed thinking about it, you wake up thinking about it, then go for it. I feel like sometimes in this industry, we really gatekeep like who can be a star and who can't. And we forget that there are so many people who have successful careers and they're not like uber famous, but they've been working for their whole lives. And they've had amazing careers, and it's not always about being like the star. It's about having a successful career. You're known as a reliable and pleasant person to work with, and those are the things that are at least very important to me. I think also there's this concept out there like 100 no's, like it takes 100 no's to get you your first job, which is like completely not true. I think it's 100 no's equals 100 connections. You're always meeting new people, and just because one job has turned you down doesn't mean that it could lead you to something else. And so just, make sure that you're always prepared for your auditions, and you come in knowing your stuff, that people know they can count on you, that you're consistent. And that it's a career that's, it's not always going to be fun. It's not always going to be like, hooray, hooray, but like there are some really rewarding moments in that sometimes you just got to stick it out,
Yeah.
Make it happen.
I feel like that's good, even if you don't want to be an actor. I feel like
in general,
perseverance is important. Like I know I felt that like in whatever my like 16 years of existence, but I feel like continuing on, I feel like it's an important trait in whatever you do. So I think really important pearls of wisdom just in life, which is, I don't know, exciting to look forward to what is possible, but also stressful, but mostly exciting, mostly exciting. Well, this has been really awesome. Thank you so much for joining me and doing this with me and eating with me, because that's the most important part, I think.
Oh, good.
I'm sorry, it's hard when it's sitting in front of me to not eat it, in my opinion. But again, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me. It's been really, really exciting, and I look forward to talking in the future and reconnecting, and this has been so awesome. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.